Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you have a cell phone, please silence it. We haven't done that already. Lisa, can you call the roll? I'll try to yell out.
Darcy Capel,
Here.
Angela Brown, Jenny Slopes,
Here.
Jasper Christopher,
Here.
Kara Shields,
Here.
Keith Goshen, Ray Armstrong.
Here.
All right, thank you. I'm going to read the adopted policy since we do have some visitors. And the adopted policy of the Berlin Township Zoning Commission is that each applicant or agenda item will be given 10 minutes or at the discretion of the chairperson to make a formal presentation. Chair will allow questions from the commission members in order to provide a timely and orderly discussion of business for consideration. Finally, the audience will then be given up to 3 minutes or at the discretion of the chairperson for each speaker to respond. Chairperson may limit repetitive debate, and all comments from the audience must be addressed to the chairperson. Lisa, can you verify that this meeting was advertised?
It was posted on the website. It's the regular statement meeting.
But this was a hearing, right? It was an application. Was that posted on the website, Facebook?
On the website, yes.
Okay, and I'll look for it online, but Jerry thinks it was posted correctly, but we don't have.
We'll transition in personnel. We have before us some meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was August 12th. I would like to accept a motion to approve this meeting minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the BZC meeting that's from 8/12 to 2025.
Second.
And Ms. Shields,
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Ms. Slopes,
Yes.
Mr. DeChristopher,
Yes.
Ms. Capel.
Yes. So we do have an application before us tonight. It is BZC 25-001, Precision Auto and Marine application for preliminary and final development plan filed by Kyle Reiner at 483 Landing West, Westerville, Ohio 43082. The applicant is submitting the request to amend the zoning from farm residential district to planned commercial district for 1 acre. I won't read that parcel number at 6715 State Route 37, Galena, Ohio 43021. So who is presenting tonight?
Is it best to stand up here?
You just so we can hear you, whatever you like.
Joe Clace with Plan for Land, and I'm here with Kyle as well as Lexus from our office. Kyle's the owner, or the developer for the project, business owner, so may ask if you have some words to share after we get introduced to what's being proposed. I wasn't at the informal meeting, but it was my understanding we were proceeding with the planned commercial district as a recommendation. I think it's the use that's recommended is a boat repair facility, boat and auto repair, but mainly boat repair. And the properties surrounded by other properties that would be suitable for planned commercial. It's 1 acre in size, and I can bring boards. I figured it's easier since you have the drawings in front of you, and it's a fairly small site, that it would be much easier to review that way. But the existing property contains a building that's been used for office space in the past. It's located in a non-conforming setback to the side setback for the PCD, just because of the setback from residential properties that are around it. We outlined a 6,000 square foot repair shop that would be constructed in behind that 1,100 square foot office building. The thought process was to screen the future building with the pre-existing structure. He's gone through the process of fixing up the existing structure and want to try to match the color. So there's some renderings that are included in the drawing as well. This area is going to get realigned. As you guys may know, it's going to get realigned along the roadway. So ODOT's been consulted and did receive some letters from them indicating the entrance subject to a drive permit. Their recommendation was to locate the drive as far west on the property as possible. So that's been done on the drawings, and we'll have some flexibility within that location to meet their desire. I think the most design constraint item that you had was turning radiuses that were in the code to bring fire and emergency equipment in, which he also has a desire to maintain those radiuses for boats and RVs. So we've indicated on the plan some turning radiuses. Those are highlighted on sheet 3, I believe it is. Actually, there's on sheet 2. So the white line that's on there is a 50-foot minimum radius, and the goal would be to have those turning radiuses, and that also maintains that same radius to get into the overhead doors, which would be located on the east side of the building. The thought process is to screen it. It's going to be fenced property, so the proposed fence, put some details in there, but thought process is a metal fence. As you can see some on the renderings on page 4, that gate would be reflective of the front fence, and then a privacy wood fence at the back, where the aesthetic may not be as important to the roadside view, but it would allow for full screening from those neighboring properties. Access to the building would be maintained to the east, allowing the west side to maintain a pretty passive buffer for any future development to the west. There's an existing business located to the north and the east, and it would also have a privacy fence to those borders as well. Indicated 2 parking spots and a dumpster pad outside of the proposed fenced-in area. He's not proposing to have day-to-day traffic of people coming in and visiting the shop. Most people are going to be bringing their vehicle in, and they're bringing their boat or their RV in and leaving. So there's adequate parking inside of the fenced-in area for typical customers. We did provide some landscaping details around the proposed monument sign, as well as the front of the building, indicating compliance with, again, the turning radiuses, but also making sure that it was providing ample screening for the front of the proposed facility. There's a wall sign on the front of the existing house, or the existing office, as well as the monument sign that's proposed. So the PCD, there are existing PCDs to the east. I understand regional planning posted some exception, as they do across the county, to uses not being permitted in the district. I do feel like you guys have the flexibility within the PCD. I think you talked about this at your last meeting, to grant use divergences. So we've requested a use divergence. We've also requested a divergence from the setback to the west property line, realizing that it's not likely going to be developed in a residential character, which is why the increased setbacks required there today. We did meet green space requirements within the PCD at the rear of the site and along the western edge primarily. And then there's some areas in green around the perimeter where the fence would be, that we can maintain those existing trees, whatever's left on the property today, that those would be maintained within those green space areas. I could probably go on and on and on, but wanted to talk primarily about those divergences that were requested and the justification for those. The hours of operation we got listed as Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with 3 full-time employees on site. His maintenance in the shop would actually have 3 overhead doors, and it would be the idea that you utilize those bays for maintenance of vehicles within, or equipment within. It is a divergence from the, it's not a divergence from the size requirements for the building, but the other ones we had identified were the 100-foot setback, which is under items 5 and 6. And then the perimeter area, no parking shall be constructed within 25 foot of a lot line of the existing proposed single-family house or residentially zoned district. There's not residential homes on those adjoining parcels, but because they're residentially zoned, we identified that as a potential divergence. And then from the minimum required open space, it wasn't the percentage that was identified on here, it's the 15-foot green belt, which seemed excessive, again, against a residential neighborhood, which isn't intended to be full-time residential neighborhood to the east and to the north and to the west. So we did maintain the 15-foot on the west edge and on the majority of the north edge, but that eastern edge where it runs along the driveway over there, that's a 5-foot setback. It's depicted on the plan. Other than that, there was also the use divergence, which is the track size and the use divergence are both identified in the text as well. We did highlight the NAICS code districts that look similar in character, which was recreational vehicle dealers, boat dealers, and automotive parts and accessory retailers. He is going to have limited retail in the office space up front. But it seemed like if you could sell it, working on it would be a compatible use there as well. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we go to public comment or anything? Okay, and I'll leave it to you if you want to ask me any questions beforehand, but I'm definitely excited to see if there's feedback on the development and what we can do to answer any questions you guys might have.
I'm feeling that.
Did that to him last time.
Anybody else? I'll start.
What is the adjoining property, what is commercial use, what is that use?
The one currently to the east of you, is it just storage or is it active?
So as far as I know, they rent it to a commercial company
Okay,
for land construction.
okay,
So the house that was on the property was completely torn down
okay.
and it's just construction equipment,
So are there any residences that are actually being used as residential?
not on the property.
And, the landscaping, so there was a recommendation that, there should be more dense landscaping outside of efficiency. Was there additional landscaping added after the, Regional Planning Commission review?
No, so I think regional planning may not have understood that the roadway's getting redesigned, and it does show minimal landscaping out front, and that's where they posted most concern. The right of way at the road frontage is going to be expansively expanded green space. So the thought process was to make this turn as minimal and to make the turn in front of the home. We wanted to minimize the green space strip that's on site and preserve that area that's in the existing right of way. I'm not sure that they'll vacate it because there's power lines there, but there is a substantial setback that's not normal. So we didn't modify it in accordance with regional planning. We wanted to obviously talk to you guys and see what your thoughts were, but the thought process was it's an additional 10 foot there, which is what they're looking for to make the required green space setback. Again, that's why we were asking for the divergences. It didn't necessarily make sense because you're not going to notice that in the grand scheme of, there's like 40 or 50 feet right there now between the edge of the pavement, and that's only going to increase when the road's realigned. So there's going to be substantial green
You mind
space.
if I interject?
Yeah.
Lexus plan for land, if you, the packet that I gave tonight, if you go to the second to last page, it actually shows the improvements that ODOT gave us. So when they do go in and put in that extension of the road, it would most likely kind of impede if we did put landscaping. It wouldn't make any sense to do it up front, I guess, until those improvements were made. That could be a condition.
Yeah, and there are power lines in that area beyond it, but if there's landscaping required, we're not trying to say we're not willing to work with you. We just, it didn't make sense really.
I appreciate the additional
No,
information.
you're
The
good.
problem with getting this information tonight is that it's really hard to read this in the 5 minutes that we had it.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I
it.
sent it out before actually, but I don't know if Jerry was enacting yet. It might have been from Levi and he might have.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're saying as far as it could be a condition that you
Yeah, like-
consider having it as a condition.
Post-construction.
Post-construction,
Yeah.
okay. But it might not make sense based upon.
Because if they have to go in and put in, like if ODOT goes in and puts in that road, they would have to tear out all that landscaping. So it might make sense to do it after the fact. And that could be like a condition of approval.
Which they actually did just start their construction.
Okay.
The next property,
Yeah.
they're starting to do the whole design with the semi turnaround and everything.
Yeah.
And they're bringing that into the property right now.
Like, I don't think landscaping is an issue for him. He just didn't want to plant trees and then them come north.
We'll definitely be doing landscaping in front. So,
Okay.
and it'll be very aesthetically.
The landscaping that you do have, where is that located? Is it just by like your sign, or it's hard to see
So-
where that is actually?
So the area that's indicated in front of the triangular area that's in front of the office, that's more detailed landscaping.
Yeah,
And then around the monument sign to the south. And then those areas that are in green, there are some existing trees that are being maintained within those areas. We just didn't do a tree inventory because it didn't make sense at the time.
And on the very back side of the property is very, very dense with woods, which is really undisturbed land. So,
I do understand that, you know, complying with ODOT, you know, interacting with ODOT, you are putting the driveway all the way to the west. I did drive by the property, you know, where it's located. I do have some concerns just in terms of safety with, you know, people pulling in, pulling boats. That's right where it turns into 60 miles an hour. I can just knowing where that's where people start to really punch it, and then like seeing where you'd be pulling in and out with boats, it just kind of, to me, it seems like it might be kind of a safety concern. I know it's probably not gonna do a lot of traffic in and out, but just a thought in terms of safety considerations, for the intended use, just one of my thoughts when reviewing this. The other thing I wanted to ask about in terms of parking, I know that there was 11 parking spots called out, but I only see 9 in the drawing. I only counted 9, I don't know if that was just,
So there's 2 out front. There's
maybe I
4.
counted wrong.
There's 4 beside the office, and then there's 5 in the back. Makes
Okay.
it 11.
And do those spots accommodate, like, they look just like regular parking spots to me, but would they accommodate like a boat with a trailer, or where are people gonna pull in with a boat and a trailer?
The 22,000 square foot parking area is in front of those bays. There's 3 bays there. Those would be the primary parking spaces. He's not
You
looking.
wouldn't be storing those.
Yeah, he's not
Well,
looking.
maybe not storing boats, but let's say I'm a customer and I want you to look at my boat, and I pull in with the boat and trailer. Like, I'm just imagining, I'm like, let's say you have a couple people that pull in, and then let's say the building catches fire. How is a fire truck gonna pull in? And I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
like, what happens if there's a fire and you have a couple trucks that have boats pulling behind them?
So
How do you deal with that?
the areas adjacent to the doors, I mean, maybe the census scale, I could throw a boat on there for
Yeah,
reference, but
yeah.
the census scale is a boat's probably gonna be 30, 40 foot
Okay.
max. But those are gonna be taking up half of the depth of that area.
Mhm.
And if they're unhooked in front, they're likely only gonna stay there for a spell before they get in the bay. You then indicated up to 5 average visits per day was what you're kind of thinking. It's not like a Jiffy Lube where you've
Sure.
got cars
Okay.
coming in. As they get dropped off, they're gonna be there and then moved in for service inside the building. And then I think you had mentioned the perimeter, from where the turn radius is, it might make sense to actually park those that are receiving along the eastern property line or the eastern fence line, just because that would be out of the way from safety equipment circulation. So
a lot of the boats that we work on also are only 18 to 22 feet.
Okay,
So they're almost the same length of a car.
okay,
So they fit in a normal parking spot.
okay.
and I might indicate one other thing, not to interrupt you, but your comment about the access, I shared that same concern. I showed left turn in, but ODOT indicated that they're only gonna allow right turn in. And they do not allow that turn out, and that'll be addressed with the road construction that he's got.
They just started that.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see the second to last page, it shows where they're proposing, so like you can't even get to his property without going right in.
And the 50-foot turn radius is more than what he's gonna need for boats. I was just saying that from a safety standpoint, that's what's in your code. I have it turning from the travel lane. Most people are probably gonna use the berm for turning in. So just to share that, and maybe if anything, it'll slow some traffic down in the township. As they see a boat turning there, but I do know there's other RV dealerships up and down 36. They've had similar experiences, and I feel like, I know they've had some instances of safety. I feel like this will be a better situation because it is right in only. And with the negotiation of that turn, there's ample berm there that I think in the meantime, until the roadway improvements are done, that they're gonna be using that berm for the right turn in.
And in the proposed drawings from ODOT, they also did state that that will be 35 all the way into the new intersection. It'll be
Okay.
restricted from 60.
Okay, all right. And the fire department, just looking at their letter, getting to discuss it, but they didn't have any concerns, it looks like, other than they didn't see it. They didn't know, they didn't, the Army Corps of Engineers, but they didn't have any concerns.
No.
Okay.
They just want building plans.
Yeah,
when
building
approved,
plans,
they'll
when
get
it was
built.
approved. That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you.
I feel bad. I just have a couple of things. I mean, we talked about kind of the pulling in, pulling out, the boats that might be parked there, that type of thing. A question, just because it might help just for understanding. It'd be my guess that most people don't show up with their boat and then ask you, hey, what would this cost? No, in other words, it's either call or I drive my car in, we talk about it, I kind of get a rough estimate, and then I'm bringing my boat in. So when so to your point, when I'm bringing my boat in, I'm not stopping, parking my boat out front in a quasi parking space, coming in and kind of waiting for a half hour while I'm waiting for someone to come out. I probably already have arranged that I'm dropping it off.
Yeah, we're scheduled, I mean, I'm scheduled 3 weeks out right now.
Okay.
So everything that I'm scheduling is already on the schedule and it continues, so everything's already planned. So.
And that was just more just, I kind of listened, I'm like, my guess is you're not getting a bunch of people pulling in an RV or a boat and then just
No.
hanging out in a waiting room.
I mean, to change that, there is no RVs.
Okay.
No RVs, it's just cars and boats that are on Allen Creek.
Okay, that helps from an understanding. Cool.
I didn't talk too much about the profiles, but there are profiles for the buildings. We try to provide four-sided just to give you an idea that the backside's a pretty passive side to try to make it more appealing for the neighboring development.
Looking at the site, obviously the back, when you talk about it's wooded, so from a buffering standpoint, necessarily you've got it now, but in the future, what I was looking at is kind of that eastern property and maybe to the west. You've got the fence in there to the west and kind of to the east, but from a standpoint, other than that fence, there isn't really any screening.
So there is.
Called out, unless there's existing tree line that we can't tell from the drawings.
Yes, there is. And they're pretty heavy. There is quite a few trees all the way down the western edge of the property line.
And then, I mean, I can see, I guess it's 2 of 5. I can see the trees that are in there.
1 of 5 might show a little bit better. Those are the, that's pre-existing. There was a little bit of clearing in the central area, but it shows a lot of the perimeter trees that are being maintained
Okay.
on that drawing.
Because I was looking at it and I'm like, you know, from a standpoint of screening, we wouldn't want to look and see, okay, you've got a fence but no screening, and then the screening would be kind of the onus of the next person coming. So especially to the west there, helping see that you have the established trees. You can notice it on the next drawing with the fence line.
It's very, very dense.
Yeah, I wrote in the text, the existing tree lines are going to be preserved within the green established areas. But I didn't show the trees, like I said, because I didn't want to exaggerate or anything of what's there. But the trees that are there, and if that's a requirement, we didn't necessarily want to hold him up in submittal, so we were kind of making sure we made an application in time. But if we needed to inventory trees for the trustees or something for you guys to have for an enforcement record, I would definitely understand that. That's something we can work with Kyle to make sure that those are documented for the future.
I think maybe having just an adjustment, I mean, that's kind of an adjustment to the drawing where in that green space where it kind of looks right now on 2.5, it looks like grass.
Sure.
If you could kind of call out where there are trees.
Yep.
Just to help from a perspective of not trying to, I mean, especially if you've already done some clearing, then my guess is this drawing may not be entirely accurate compared to what's there now.
Sure.
So if you could kind of call that out to show that you have some things there where 2.5 right now looks like there's just nothing. It's hard to see and know from the 2 drawings from my perspective.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay. And then I know you talked about the use and that from a standpoint of the building, the sign, I feel pretty comfortable with what you're showing. The use and the PCD, I do have some concern there because you're asking for a use variance really, within the PCD. And I know it was called out by regional planning that maybe the PID would work, and they are very similar. I mean, if you look through our code, the use is there, just because the variance of use is maybe a little tougher from a standpoint to take in. I'm not saying that it's not something we wouldn't look at, but it may be tougher to get all the way through the process. And I think that just comes out, I know it's retail, but when I think we looked at it kind of from the early, we had the number, we're like, oh, the number's there. But now looking at more of the detail, and they're calling out that is really, if you are a boat salesperson and you happen to also have a service shop in the back,
Sure.
where really this is more of a service, not a retail. So the primary use is the service. You may have some limited retail, but that's not really why you're building it. So it gets into like your primary use NAIC code versus a secondary, which is kind of following in.
I have no problem. Some is kind of like a whole goal at the end round, but for service, we were kind of focused on that because.
That's what he does in his day-to-day,
Yeah.
and it's
I'm
comfortable doing.
Maybe
Well,
so.
no, and that's, I'm not saying I want you to change and become a
Right,
retail.
no, but if that opens up that and allows it to be easier, because when I become Mercury certified, it also opens up us to be a dealer for them as well, to be able to sell those.
So the one point I would have is there is other planned commercial in the area, and I didn't want to spot zone something. So I wasn't at the last meeting, but I understood the direction that might have came from that was the planned commercial. When I looked at the use under the NICS, it's like a roll-off yard. It's like you're at Lake Erie and you're rolling a boat off to sea. That's similar to the nature of when you read the NAICS code. And I was like, this is a lot less applicable than what you would typically see at a boat dealer where they do work on boats. So I get where you're coming from, and I would definitely want to work with you guys to figure that out. But I think going to the PID, my only concern was, does that set the township up for a potential request for an industrial user there in the future that isn't maybe as retail minded? So if there's a way we can minimize the divergence aspect of it by saying that there's dealers, that's really what we want the primary use to be oriented toward. That's at least what we had talked about, was trying to minimize the impact on your zoning district there.
Okay.
I thought,
And it may just be, I mean, I look at it as, obviously, when we came in, we used the NAICS with dealer, and then it went to like regional planning, and they looked at it and said, no, this is really not that code. And so I think that clarification, because it's gonna be a big point in the overall approval.
sure, I understand.
Because it really gets down to like, they're not gonna approve it as one use when that's not really what it is.
They actually recommended the NCD, but, yeah, the NCD, Neighborhood Commercial District. But for us to go that route in the Neighborhood Commercial District, it's only 3,000 square foot for a building. And he's obviously proposing 6,000. So there was multiple variances that we would have to ask for or apply for under the NCD. So that's why when we came to the informal, we went the PCD because it's not a variance, it's a divergence. So it would just be an easier route for him, I guess,
Yeah.
to maybe try to figure out what those divergences are under the PCD instead of going the NCD route and then applying for like 5 variances when doesn't really make sense.
No,
That was our logic at
It's,
least.
it's a tough spot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
and I know, I mean, because there's also the, it's in the overlay, but it doesn't really fit the overlay
Yeah.
because of the size of the lot. I'm like, so it's this kind of, it sort of fits in 4 or 5
Yeah.
different things, but which
Yeah.
way is the best way to handle it? So, and I appreciate your being flexible around that. That's just, trying to make sure that whatever usage it is, that we don't get into an issue where, whether it's within our board or whether it's with the trustees, where you're submitting it as one use and then they come back and they say, I don't really think that's what it is. And it gets, I don't want the decision to be based on the semantics of what the usage is and whether or not they think that's really the use you're using.
We'd be happy to identify the NAICS code specifically. Again, I kind of minimized it because I didn't want it to appear that we were asking for an industrial use in the commercial district, because I don't believe that's what we're doing. Because the it fitting things into the tax code, which NAICS is a tax code, and I know we try to use it for zoning, and I appreciate why. But the challenge is it comes with, it is no different than a use that's sitting at Lake Erie, and that's not what we're proposing here. So because
And
it's
he
being,
doesn't have like 50-foot ships running through
That's
there.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Family moves, not.
And he's not
I look
dumping
at,
into Humphreys.
I look at like, some of the other boat repair that are in the northern side of Delaware County, and most of them are in the FR1 zoning district. And they are just rural yards where people pull a boat in and out. And they can do that under conditional use, or they can do that under something that's a little bit more conducive. I appreciate putting in the plan commercial because you guys bind it to the development plan. So if there is something we can do within the use classification that makes you feel comfortable with using the PCD, I definitely like the path we're on. But I think we're open to others. We just didn't want to delay the application after regional planning's recommendation automatically to say, hey, we want to go a different path because it sounded like this was the best path.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Commission members, I'm so sorry for interrupting. Applicant, I'm so sorry for also interrupting. You may have noticed we've been furiously communicating over here. Unfortunately, it appears that the meeting notice, or the hearing notice was not posted on the website and/or social media. While the notices did go out in the mailer, there's also the requirement that it be posted, and we have received confirmation that it was not posted. So then the next question is, what does that mean for everyone, and how do we proceed? Obviously, the applicant has just gone, has given you a lot of information. It's been a lot of good discussion. What I will say is, so it's a procedural error. And what that means is that someone, if the zoning commission were to take action tonight, someone could challenge the validity of the zoning commission's recommendation. From a legal perspective, my advice would be that the board basically set a new hearing date, so that way the township can properly publish everything. And I know how frustrating that is, and making everybody come back. But from a legal perspective, procedural errors can cause real problems down the line, and so just to nip things in the bud, I apologize, and appreciate they do bear with that.
Okay. Well, no apology needed on your part. As many of you know, our township has been transitioning many positions all at the same time. So an oversight like this is terribly unfortunate, especially for you guys. So, but for us too. But yeah, I think we have to force a table and time certain. I don't think we have an option, if that makes sense.
Is the delay gonna be 2 weeks or a month?
No.
So in terms of
look,
in terms of the notice, there are timing constraints. I believe
10 days.
Yes, 10 days before the next hearing. So if 2 weeks, I'm sorry, did you say 2 weeks would be okay? Or?
I was just asking how long, so I can know.
Yeah.
Roughly around the timeline, because a month would be a little frustrating, but
And this
2
is
weeks.
the Ross probably pushing on timeline too.
Oh, boy.
And I may say, unfortunate, it definitely
Yes.
has happened to us before, and I understand what's going on. But if there is any constructive feedback that we could receive tonight, we'd be happy to provide amended text to address the majority of the comments that are
We
heard,
treat it as one
understanding that we still have to go through the public hearing process. But since neighbors did get notice, I'm happy to hear any comments tonight and happy to address those, get those to you.
So my understanding is our township trustees have kind of abolished the informal process. I've interpreted that correctly? Yes. So I'm not sure how much we can do tonight.
You cannot proceed,
Yeah.
because if you take other testimony or questions from the audience,
Right.
they would be invalid
Right.
also.
What I would say, because I think that obviously there has been an unfortunate amount of discussion. If the commission would be open to this, if you have some feedback, if you think you have some direction, how does the commission normally handle almost like amended applications. Would he be able to submit updated materials before the next?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if there's, so perhaps that would be an option of, if there's feedback, obviously it might not get you 100% of the way there, but taking some of the feedback you've received, provide amended materials, that way at the actual hearing, there could be further discussion and.
This is kind of amended, that we just got tonight. at the
We'll add
start of
that
the
into
meeting.
the packet.
Yes, that this is,
Okay.
I mean, this is.
Well, I
the other
can
direction,
Yeah,
But that's unfortunate too.
sure,
So,
absolutely.
But let's try to. hide that.
Yeah,
Well, also, I would say though, we only received 2 comments, so for us to bring back an amended packet and not heard 3 more opinions would also be unfortunate, because you guys also have a valuable opinion, and we would like to, maybe you have an amendment, or you have an amendment that we could make before the next meeting. Instead of amending the packet, then you guys have other opinions that we didn't get to hear, and then have to amend the packet again.
So I do have a,
Yeah.
I do have a question because they have already spoken. So what they have said has already been said.
Correct.
So, like, I don't understand what the difference would be if they continued on.
So they would not be able to render a decision tonight because,
Well, that's fine.
and technically, the hearing can't take, this, obviously you're having a conversation, but in terms of, from a hearing perspective, you can't have a hearing that is invalid. I don't know, let me ask the commission this. So, commission members are able to have discussions with applicants. This is a legislative function. And so just like any lobbyist, you can lobby a legislator, you can lobby a zoning commission member. What I would say is outside of the meeting, if the applicant would like to have conversations with the commission, I think that would be okay. But because the public won't have the opportunity to kind of have that conversation, I again would not recommend
Yeah,
having
we
it.
really have discouraged that lately.
Yeah.
Because some of the conversations we've had have been misunderstood or mischaracterized, or it's
Absolutely.
created more problems than it's created useful.
Absolutely.
My preference would be, honestly, Jerry, you're our acting zoning inspector, is typically we've had conversations with our zoning inspector, and then you were a conduit through Jerry.
okay.
And so.
We'd be happy to have that.
Very
I feel like
happy
working
to
with Jerry. Sounds
hand
great.
off my comments. And the thing is, we're 5 different people.
Sure.
5 different opinions.
Yep.
We may not agree
Sure.
in a big space. So those informal conversations really do kind of create a lot of chaos. So, to your point, what they have said, it's almost like it didn't happen. Right?
We'll go with it again.
It did.
Or we'll say if
But-
anyone's here from the public, we'd be happy to
But-
stay afterwards outside and
But-
talk.
Yeah, but, as soon as we became aware that
Sure.
there was a procedural problem, we really couldn't.
On your events website, it does say Berlin Township Zoning Commission, 7 p.m. tonight. Is that not noticed?
It's not. Unfortunately, the statute requires very specific items be included in
The
the notice.
meeting.
Yeah.
Because this was on the website.
Correct. That the agenda is not a sufficient notice. There are some additional pieces. We were hoping that would be the case. We tried. I promise you, we tried, but unfortunately, the agenda doesn't, and social media does not have a notice either. So.
Yeah, we haven't met the correct criteria.
Not putting my 2 cents, but I have a resident, and that's all.
Well, seeing it and having a notification go out, the notification criteria is really specific, and that did not meet the criteria, unfortunately.
We did put the signs out as they were required and follow what I thought was the procedure and having it on the website, but that's different than the legal notice.
That's correct.
So I think our next step is to figure out when we can meet again. And then all of us with things to pass on, I'll be in touch with Jerry and soon, because you guys were trying to do this rather quickly. It was not your error, so we should want to try to
Thank
do
you,
our
we
best to,
appreciate that.
make it right.
We're getting pretty close to winter time.
I
We're trying to get the building up,
understand.
and now we're fighting the time frame for building already.
Jerry, do you have a hearing next?
In 2 weeks, there's.
So take the Ross property.
Table.
The first open date is the 23rd. There is evidence farms of Ross property.
And that's a fairly big
Yes.
hearing, yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's gonna take our time.
The commission does have the ability to call a special meeting.
I was just gonna say, we could have a special meeting.
If I have to post it.
But we have to do that within the, required time.
Correct, so,
When would be the soonest we could reasonably? Yeah, because we still have to post it and give you guys time to,
Is the second meeting in December or September taken up?
I'm
Is
sorry.
the second meeting in September taken up?
No.
No,
The ninth
it's the 23rd.
I thought the 9th was Ross.
Yeah, the 9th is Ross.
The 9th is Ross.
We do the 23rd.
23rd.
Our evenings are very limited right now. Very, very limited.
Yeah, it's
Pushing us out a month though to the 23rd, I don't feel like is acceptable.
What we're saying is it might be our only option.
Yeah.
Would September 10th, work?
We will make whatever works for your guys' timeline work for us.
So, you gotta have no commission members, and we need Lisa. If that were to meet all the legal requirements, what say you guys?
Okay, I have a quick question. I noticed, on the last meeting from August 12th, I did not see actually a motion to table that. I
That was
saw
requested by the applicant.
September 9th was requested, but I saw no actual official motion.
We did not make a motion. I thought we said it. I sure they did, but.
So if they didn't make a motion to table, they discussed at the last hearing, tabling to September 9th, but I never saw.
Or
looking-
continuing
Yes,
to
meeting a different hearing, yeah.
They did. Well, is that a different application?
Then I was like,
Let's put a pin in that.
well, we could hear this on September 9th if we can't hear that one, is what I was gonna say, but.
Yeah, we've already presented like 80% of this. The last, like, do we need to now re-present absolutely everything, or can we just hear the last 3 people?
Yeah, I'm
And
happy to,
public.
happy to answer that. Let me, get in, we're kind of going through a couple of things, so let's discuss that, the September 9th. I think that we can deal with that, but it sounds like that might need to be corrected, so that's the September 9th.
I know that could be pushed on, this could be here tonight, if that is in fact the case.
So that could be corrected.
Could be corrected, okay, all right, that's
Um,
no problem.
Okay, so then in terms of, again, we have to provide 10 days notice. But other than that, I mean, notice can be provided very quickly. Jerry has the letters put together. The letters will need to be resent. Obviously, some dates will need to be corrected in that. Putting this on the township's website and social media page will not be difficult. I would suspect that notice could go out tomorrow or the Thursday. So that means, again, if we can find a date that works for everyone.
Lisa, I think we probably should start with you. You said you're pretty happy.
Do we definitely have BZA on the 17th and the 24th, do you know?
We haven't heard yet on the 17th, ARB meeting, Christina, so I may have canceled that. So
Oh.
we'll see.
Okay, there's some RBZ. The 10th would, I can make the 10th work if it works, Wednesday.
So that's a Wednesday. It'll be the night after our Ross hearing. What say the rest of you all?
I can do the 10th.
Like a special meeting, Wednesday, September 10th.
Yeah, we can do a special meeting.
cancel that.
Okay. Just a little.
Time certain, 7 PM.
Is there somebody else meeting that night?
Parks and Trails was scheduled for that. What happened is the data centers, we changed our provider. And everything is kind of changed. The network is Delaware County, and the meetings, hosting those meetings and getting all of the leadership.
Okay, so they're not having a meeting that night?
Okay.
We'll go back there. That's a public meeting too, though, right?
We can have our meeting in the parking lot.
It's nice weather like this, we could do that.
Are there elections on the
What's that?
Oh, no, that's not.
Would it be possible
Possibly. I don't remember.
Would it be
Yeah,
possible
6 to
to,
30, or
this one, the
that
night?
has been like 6.
Any-
Correspondence.
Well, let's ask Lisa.
Looking at township
So
administrator.
we, I mean, it would be both hearings, would be a long night, but that way we're not.
Lisa, a question was asked if we could on the 10th, rather
On the
than,
9th.
on the 9th, move that meeting? I don't think we could do that.
Not move that, but make it like. if
An
we could
hour
make it An
earlier.
hour earlier.
I'm not gonna be here tonight.
Okay. Well, I don't think we can change the 9th, because we gave them a time certain.
But we can.
Ten.
But I think, pardon me, I can't even talk right now. The question was, could you hold basically a special meeting an hour early, just for this application? The answer is yes.
Yeah, if everybody, and
So
Lisa's
instead of
key,
7 o'clock, instead of 6.
on the 10th would 6
On the
PM.
ninth.
On the 9th.
Okay.
On the 9th.
Wait, wait, the 9th is Ross, right?
Right.
We gave them a time certain.
Yeah, we can meet an hour early.
So you'd be at 6.
Personnel.
I'm good with
So-
whatever. I just want-
So your regular meeting on the 9th would start at 7 PM, but you would also
Yes.
have a special meeting at 6 PM that would the purpose would just be to hold this hearing.
On the same, okay, not the 10th, my brain wasn't working.
Okay, if it does run over, I think you could
That can be dealt with.
table the other one for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did you indicate the full board wasn't going to be
rewinding
here
that
though?
then.
I'm not gonna be here, but they can, as long as they have a quorum, I can be.
Right, okay.
Because it's at least 3, right? There has to be,
Yeah,
or- yeah.
The more that are
But
here
also,
benefits.
there's also another alternate.
Yeah.
Okay, so rather than a special meeting on the 10th, proposal right now is that on the 9th, we would begin at 6 PM hearing this, and then proceed with the Ross hearing at 7. Is that everybody?
I can't be here on the 9th, but I could be here on the 10th.
Okay.
If we can get a full board on the 10th, I definitely would like that if that's a possibility. I don't want to make you guys have to come out for a special night, but unless you have alternates that could sit in,
Well, we
We do have
we
two
do.
alternates.
We
you
do.
do. Okay.
So I'm not concerned.
Okay, all right.
We're gonna
We
have,
have, we have one alternate sitting right now, and one is not here tonight, so she possibly could
Thanks
be
for the
there.
comments.
Apologize.
Appreciate that.
At least you heard your feedback.
What's everybody else's?
I can do the, or the 10th. Either
okay.
day.
Can we do 9th?
Same here.
Lisa, is that easier for you
Yeah, it works,
to be here an hour early?
Okay, so we're gonna have a special meeting to continue BZC 25-001.
I'm so sorry, pause. Because we can't continue it because it technically hasn't
Oh,
happened.
it's not a okay.
So what I would suggest, just a motion to set the hearing for BZA applicant, or I'm sorry.
I'm not ready for a motion, I'm just trying to
Oh.
make sure we all heard the same thing, because I got it wrong.
We can't have this motion because we're not.
Yeah, we can do a motion, we gotta, okay, anyway. An hour earlier on September 9th for BZC 25-001, 6 PM on Tuesday, September 9th. Did I do it right?
I think whatever works.
Yes.
Okay, it's not a motion, but what is the correct?
This has already been a very frustrating process.
It could be a motion.
Jerry.
You can't-
For a special meeting.
Okay,
And then in terms of, so we'll work with Jerry to make sure that that special meeting is noticed. We'll also work with him to make sure that the legal notices for the application go out and all of that, so.
All right, well, then I will make a motion that we, is the right word, reschedule?
Set.
Set a date to hear BZC 25-001 in a special session on Tuesday, September 9th, beginning at 6 PM. Time, sir. At this location, yes. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Cavill?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Mr. Christopher?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yeah.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Needless to say, we feel very bad about this, I'm sorry. But we look forward to hearing, hopefully, for
The rest of it.
the rest of the story. With some additions, I will make a point to speak with Jerry soon. And to those of you who came to our hearing, we really like it when there's some people in this. And I'm sorry, but I hope that you can come back on the 9th or.
And we'll
tell your
take
friends.
comments too, not
Yes.
officially, just people get a sign. Yeah, in person.
All right, so we're not adjourned yet, sadly.
Can I have a question? When will it be posted on social media and everything? Is that
It
gonna
has
be
to be 10 days.
tomorrow?
Yeah, or maybe for tomorrow.
It'll either be tomorrow or the day after because, it's coming in hot, but also you received it in the mail, the township's gonna mail out the notice again as well. And the signs will be in the yard and all that, so, thank you.
Okay, well, that was new. Jerry, any updates on our?
Business done.
You know what, that's okay. That's okay.
All adjourned?
Yeah, Andy, we're not. All right, so, things happen. You're looking like you feel terrible about it, so stop.
I guess I missed a checkbox.
Look, there's so much going on. I don't sometimes know how this building's still standing.
I did put out the letters to all of the
Yes,
area.
they got it, I think.
We put on our agenda on the website. I guess there's a third thing now that I wasn't aware of. There's a legal notice that has to go, they're gonna have to tell me where it goes. Because I put out a bunch of letters.
newspaper?
Yeah, I don't have newspapers.
The newspaper is no longer necessary.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that just.
See, I didn't know.
Give it on the website. and
That's
social-
why I
and
was
social
confused.
media.
Because they have Facebook.
That's why it's confusing, because I thought it's still in the newspaper.
Yeah, I thought that, I thought that the notice was the agenda being online to the website. That the meeting
Well,
was
live
happening.
and learn. I mean, there's a lot going on
It's
here.
not the first time and it won't be the last time. I
Right.
mean, it just,
Oh,
it is
What's
what
the
it
last component? Where is it noticed that, like, what's the last component?
I think I have to, who do I send a letter to? Legal notice.
Put it on Facebook and the website. Like Aubrey's been doing that. I guess Aubrey maybe wasn't aware that it was a hearing tonight, so she didn't know about the notice.
So there are two components, the notice that goes out to owners, and then, and I apologize if all of you just went through this, I was, Lisa and I were chatting about your hearing on the 9th. Two components, one, notice that goes out via letter. The second is, the notice that needs to be posted on your website and social media page. Unfortunately, there are some very specific things that I was like, maybe can we, the agenda, get a lot of information in there, is that good enough? It needs to include a statement that the amendment is available for review at the township offices during business hour, those types of little details, that have to be in the notice that aren't on the agenda, so, but no, we'll make sure that, again, not the first time, won't be the last. We'll make sure that, to get you what you need from the social media perspective side of things. But I don't want, and I don't know what else you have on, what else, in terms of business wise, but Lisa raised an issue that, so you guys don't have this come up again. So you're on September 9th, you are hearing, I think you've been calling it the Ross, project. Has that been,
That's 7 o'clock.
has that notice gone out? Has that been,
You know,
Probably not.
It doesn't require a survey as far as what the applicant asked for.
Yeah, we didn't make, there's no motion made, I guess, we just got skipped.
Can we make a motion now?
So if the, so was the application, did you basically have, like, did you hear part of the application a couple weeks ago? It was just an informal,
They weren't even,
It was,
They weren't even here.
they
it
weren't
was
even here?
scheduled,
Okay,
it was
okay.
scheduled for that night, and then they asked for a table, but there was some discussion, but the hearing. was
Okay.
had to be over.
Okay, so, but it has been scheduled for the 9th. So, the township does need to notice the 9th, and there is time, again, time's short, but we can get this taken care of. Okay. Let's chat tomorrow.
because I think it was that they weren't here to even request the table and continue.
Okay.
They submitted it by letter to you, didn't they?
Here, no, the applicant was here that day. And basically it was stated by the trustees that their original plan did not match what they were doing. It had to do with the school and some of the other stuff going on. So the applicant has went back and said they're gonna create a whole new package, which I have not received as of today. And that was going to be what they would submit for consideration.
Because we had dialogue that night, because we're used to the applicant being here requesting a table, and he wasn't here. So we had some dialogue about what was the right procedure, and apparently we didn't hit it right.
So if they don't have their packets, what they have?
Yeah,
But they-
we still don't have it. I'll call him tomorrow. There's a lot of stuff going on, and that's important. We have a new secretary receptionist for 3 weeks. She's been here, and she's posting stuff. Aubrey is 4 months into her job, and I guess I'm.
And you're the jack of all trades.
Yeah, I've been here a long time.
And a new computer system.
Yeah,
Was
oh, we went
retired.
to, last week we moved to the Delaware County, network.
I was Levi left.
So, and, oh yeah, the zoning inspector, he's gone too, so,
Ouch.
things to do is to try and figure out what we're missing,
Well,
put it all together.
and if the applicant, I guess with this new information that's coming out, if the applicant is going to submit a brand new application materials, I don't know that you.
We wanted, I told him we would want it 2 weeks before the meeting, so that.
And that's today.
I mean, today's 2 weeks. And again, part of the notice includes a statement that, members of the public, if you want to come to the township offices to review the application, you can, but
And that was
the red flag in my mind is like, well, you don't have the application. Okay.
Well, and in fairness, the ones that just left, they submitted to the Delaware County Regional Planning, the same day they submitted to us. 3 days later, the Delaware County Regional Planning said, deny. At that point, that's when we should have scheduled a meeting or at least let the applicant know what the opinion of Delaware County. The timing was way off, and I don't know how to try and correct it, but until Delaware County has come back with their recommendation, I'm not gonna schedule any hearings.
I think that makes sense.
Well,
There
Yeah,
has
because they
been,
might want to change it. I mean, if I was an applicant, I would want to get their feedback because it's going to be our feedback.
yes,
Part of that's going to play into it. I mean, I'm reading from this saying, why didn't you do what they said?
and the last piece was, we were gracious enough a few months back to have an informal, which I've heard that the trustees don't want informals anymore.
What's that?
Because it causes some confusion, who said what versus reality in one step.
But the trustees don't want informal at a meeting or informal
At a meeting.
to a zoning commission members, like you used to have.
At the meeting, we didn't want to have all 5,
You don't want that anymore?
no.
So what I would, and obviously, take my opinion for what it's worth in terms of operational process, but what you just described, it sounds like so many moving parts and at no point it's actually stuck. Of like, okay, now everybody, hands up, the test is over. What's not uncommon, and we can take take this offline, but I do wanna mention part of this to you folks. What's not uncommon is, all right, you need to have your application into Jerry by X date. That application needs to be complete. If it's not complete, it's not going to the zoning commission. Once it's complete, zoning commission has a meeting, you set a hearing date. Within 5 days after you set the hearing date, it goes to regional planning. This is the statutory process. Regional planning gives a recommendation, that recommendation comes back, you guys have the hearing on the date and make your recommendation. And if I'm saying anything that you already know, then
The only thing that regional planning puts the minutes out every first of the month from there.
Right.
So that timing of when regional planning gets it versus when we can move on setting meetings up.
Oh, yeah. You're not alone in the county. I mean, it's the way it is. I get it, and it's, and that's just what the law says. If the zoning commission can't make its recommendation or have the hearing until you've got regional plannings. And that does happen sometimes where you've got your hearing set and regional planning hasn't gotten to it or had to cancel their meeting, and you have to, and I get it, applicants don't like it, but.
Well, my perspective is, because this is a one-step, what they were bringing to us was the preliminary wrap with the final.
Yeah.
And honestly, if there's disconnect between regional planning and what we're being presented, and we got extra materials, I'm not gonna vote for it. I mean, not specific to this applicant or any applicant. I want the whole enchilada with a bow, because we have had numerous times, you guys have all seen it, they sell it. And the new person comes in and nobody has liked it, because you've got too many parts here. I don't even like when we write like little amendments.
I don't
like
like
that.
it's not clean.
I don't like it.
And when I was a zoning inspector, I hated that on the fact that your records are so incomplete and disjointed that how you enforce it a year or two down the road.
Or
You're
10 and
sitting
15
there,
years.
and well, I'm too young to remember that.
So,
I believe that, but anyway.
so, yeah.
I don't like that, where an applicant comes in, this document tonight, and it's handed out, just like Jenny said, 5 minutes before the meeting, it's like,
You don't have
I didn't
time.
even look at it that night.
Well, and there are things that
It's not-
don't comport with the other, so which one is it? And,
Well, and she sent that in.
well, it should have been in the packet.
Right.
They didn't, yeah.
Should have
But
been,
who knows where that went, I don't.
should have been in the packet. Okay, so anyway, my understanding,
I can foresee that, if you tighten this up.
Sorry to interrupt. I need one of the signs, it looks like you pulled the sign out front for the meeting that was tonight. It's gone.
You set the sign here, fire station, and out of property.
Right, there was one out front.
It's not there anymore. So can I take one from the side of the building?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to take one without asking, so.
They go, after the city is over, we retrieve the signs, they're not supposed to stay up behind the building there. Stack
for repository,
The-
okay.
public notice signs.
The other thing that I object to, just in the discussion, I've seen numerous times where an applicant comes in, whatever goes astray. And they say, well, we have to proceed with this because I've made plans and timing is short, so time is of the essence. That is not something that the commission needs to be burdened with, or however you want to say it.
I'd like to see these done, because I can't rush things through, because stuff like this happens.
Now, I realize this particular gentleman wants to build his building and
Before the winter time.
before winter time. But, you can't do that and expect everybody and the commission and the trustees and everybody else to go ahead and do things out of step, gets things wrong, and creates a mess. And I've seen it happen too many times with several big customers around here. I don't think that's something we have to deal with.
I agree, it's kind of It's not our burden. But I feel bad, but okay.
We have to do it right.
We have to,
So
we have to follow the law, I mean, we don't have a choice.
I don't want to feel pressured by that, but we're here. Okay, so we are having a special meeting on the 9th. Let's go back to the Ross thing. Is it too late to make a motion? What do we do?
So I guess my question is, what is the applicant's, what do you have and what are they submitting to you?
They have submitted a package which all the members have,
Okay,
but because of the way that they worded things,
They switched around like sub area B and sub area C. It's not labeled correctly. There was a lot of,
It seems that they're
Confusion.
trying to create a lot of calamity.
well, and that's, it's frustrating and not, and when situations like that arise, it's easy for everything else to get disjointed. I mean, there are, and they said that they get those, I mean, I guess the question
by
is,
today,
do you
they don't
have-
have a notice.
Do you have a
You
completed
don't have to
application?
issue.
Right, do you have a completed application or not? If there are labeling issues that are being tweaked, then, okay, that's probably fine, but, I mean, if they're gonna be swapping things
it's
out.
major like parcel numbers and sub areas that they've swapped around.
so, and there was a question about the acreage, what was donated versus what they were, the total.
Because it's part of the
acres
school.
for the density.
Okay.
Were very large questions that came up, and they have to revise the plan, and also they were going to go back. I gave Dan a copy of the legal file that we can have on file from BZC 16001, the original thing done 9 years ago. And that legal copy is what he's working from, and he's to compare that to what he's proposing.
Are they rezoning or are they modifying, what action are you
Okay.
asking?
We have 2,500 homes in Evans Farms, it was all accounted for in that original document. Now they've sold off, or they partnered with at least 4 groups that I'm aware of now, and they've got other parcels that are in there that they label as such. Certain number of the acreage, it was 1,234 acres, and all that has been sliced up around different areas across different roads, and also roads have changed since the original 2016. On North Street and how it cut through, the county changed, ODOT changed how they're doing that road. So Evans Farms has to modify theirs because when it goes through 50 homes, they have to make changes. So
But that's not, it's not Evans Farm, Evans Farms.
originally it was not, but then they amended it, and it is in there.
They said it in the packet that
They
it's
did
not.
not amend the original Ross, or Evans Farms, I don't believe.
It's up to Amendment 3 is what.
I think what they did was, yes, they purchased it for the Ross estate. But I don't think, and it says in there,
In the
what
packet,
we
it
did
says,
have itself, that it is not part of Evans Farms. They're developing it as part of it, which of course is their right.
So they
It
get to
is
see.
not, but it is not part of it.
The only thing not to mention is that the HOA is there, Ross would be part of it. So,
But that also means that the question is going to come up. The density that was given for Evans Farms, this is not part of.
Interesting, you're right.
because that's what they were trying to say.
They're trying to
It's like,
swap.
it's like
Swap
Evans
units.
Farms is what they kept trying to say in the
Right.
packet.
But how about, well, either tomorrow or quite frankly, if you have the application materials here, I'm happy to take a look at them after this meeting. I don't think that the commission needs to take any action. What I will say is, if we think that the materials are where they need to be, we will work with Jerry to make sure that the proper notices go out.
Okay.
If, because I just don't know what their application is, if this is a rezoning, again, it needs to go, it has to come to regional planning and that type of thing. So if that's the case, then you wouldn't be having a hearing, on the 9th. You'd be setting the hearing date. But, I mean, does that strategy, I just don't know that, I don't know that we have.
I don't think we have the materials,
Yeah.
the updated materials. At the time, we were supposed, Jerry was supposed to get it by today.
Yeah.
Well,
The
he
commission,
started with it after the last meeting, and I gathered information for him to use to come up with that. I expected something today.
Did you tell him that we were gonna have our meeting for him on the 9th, or on the 9th?
Yes,
He knows about the timing, okay.
yes, we have put in the minutes, I believe.
It's in the minutes, yeah.
Is it a modification of an approved zoning plan? Is that what it
Yes.
is? So it's not, is that considered a rezone or is that something different?
You made a modification.
I'm not sure.
Right, so do we have to do regional planning?
No,
again?
it doesn't go to
So, so it's a modification of an approved zoning plan.
Yes.
So does it go to regional planning?
So if it's a true modification, no, it does not need to go to regional planning. If this is somehow we're modifying by adding property into,
No,
That-
that
that's
property is already added in. to
okay,
The current, Evans Farms final plan,
okay.
it's included in
But
there.
they're making some pretty good changes and they haven't given us a new packet. So they need to give us a new packet.
Then that means, again, if, and Jerry said, look, we
like you
need,
said,
I need 2 weeks.
if you notice, then the packet is not already readily available for the public to view, then that's a problem. Correct?
Is it actually under the tab on the zoning? The notice said that it was, you can find the information on the zoning tab on Berlin Township. Is it on there?
It's-
It is.
That's the old one though,
But
right?
we haven't even
That's
gotten, we
old,
haven't
right?
even gotten it.
How old is that one?
We don't have it.
It's last month. If you look
But
at.
not the new one, okay.
Yeah, we don't have.
We don't even-
We don't have the one that they were submitted.
Did they wipe a bunch of stuff off the website when they transferred over? I'm having a hard time finding anything on the website.
To, doesn't recognize the face, I don't recognize you.
So since they haven't given us any new materials,
Right.
does Jerry contact them and say, well, since you didn't give us new materials in our requested 2 weeks, you're off the calendar?
That's absolutely, if that's the will of the zoning commission. Again, if they're not small changes,
What do we, I mean, is that what?
if they're not small changes, and you don't, and Jared does not have a complete application, then you can absolutely tell them, because you
I don't
can
think
submit
we can notice it tomorrow if we don't have new materials, but technically we have, it has to be 10 days before.
at least 10 days, yeah.
So they have a couple more days if we wanted to give them that a little bit more leeway.
They basically have to have.
But if we gave them a time certain, aren't we obligated to keep that?
I don't know that.
Well, except for the 6 o'clock one.
Oh, dang it. No one goes on for one.
But they were never in front of you, correct?
No,
Right?
it was just kind of weird, so,
Yeah.
but.
It was, they knew before the meeting that they were gonna table them.
Because they're, in part because their materials weren't where they needed to be. And did you notice, did you submit, did you provide notices for that past hearing? Like, did those go out?
My guess is no, but I don't
Wait,
know.
which, so from
Yes.
the,
Depending on.
Yeah,
and that was on the
website.
They haven't
Yes,
given us
yes,
anything.
Yes, we did, because we were, I have to use it.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
you got.
Okay, because you received it in the mail,
She's
okay.
not part-
For that, but have they gone out for the one on the 9th for rocks?
No.
Okay.
No.
So should we contact them?
Okay. I'm not sure.
I just feel like as a board, we need to, like, just like this coming in last minute,
Yeah.
you know, we need
Move it
to,
up a little bit?
we need to button it up and say, hey, if you're Like, we
You need to
cannot
give us whatever you need to give us 2 weeks out.
2 weeks out.
Right. I mean, I'm not prepared to vote in the affirmative for anything that I feel is, I would. So, I mean, that's just me. I don't
agree.
know if we have legal obligations that we can say, hey, your stuff's not here, we're not gonna hear your.
So it is very common for schedules, for basically, if you don't make it, it doesn't get completed to Jerry. That means Jerry has to have the opportunity to review it. And if he reviews it and it's complete, you gotta get that completed application in before a set date in order for it to even get there, you guys.
So some,
So, like-
a developer couldn't challenge that, like if Jerry said, we are gonna see you on the 9th, but you have to have your stuff here by this date. Or what, we're gonna cancel it, we're not gonna hear
Or
it?
it's not gonna be put on your agenda until so it starts with the, applicant, you need to give us a completed application. Once we get your application complete, now we can talk about scheduling it.
But what about things like this, like that come in last minute? Because that happens all the time, and it's not fair to us to walk into 5 minutes and try to review this and take it into consideration.
And let me add one more piece to this puzzle. It seems to be, my mom always did 500-piece puzzles, and this is more like 1,000. I'm not the zoning inspector. We're using Orange Township's zoning to do the review as the zoning inspector. That was said before, because now, I'll still take the blame for anything you want, but realize that we have additional bodies touching this, that when Levi was here, he had a lot of stuff lined up. In the last month, he left the 18th of July, these were on the board, and it was posted on the 12th meeting. Lisa, I'm looking at that, the Ross Stance PRD was out there.
It was,
But
on the
the
zoning commission, on the website and Facebook, because I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it.
And so now, we've got to work through some technical difficulties that are going on right now.
So is it our obligation to contact Ross and say, we don't have your stuff, so you're
I'm
off?
gonna call Dan tomorrow and ask him where the package is, because he was supposed to be in 2 weeks. We used to have to give 2 weeks notice so that we could do the publications, sending out the letters.
And you tell them you have 24 hours or you're off.
Okay.
So you mentioned Orange Township is doing the review. Are they gonna have to review his updated materials?
Why are we giving him any more time?
So then,
It feels like
I don't think that, even if he gets you the
It feels like
materials
they're
tomorrow,
pretty
Orange
much-
Township's not gonna be able to review it
Yeah.
and complete it. Do you think?
Philip, whenever I'm asking him to do something, he turns around pretty quickly, but I don't think I can.
So, my question to Jerry was, because it sounds like Orange Township is doing the technical review of applications. Do we anticipate that updated materials will need to go through technical review? Because, and if it was labeling or that sort of thing, that'd be one thing, but it sounds like
It's major.
it will have to go through Orange Township. Orange Township's not going to have an opportunity to review everything. If there's something missing, if it's still not complete, all of that in the next 48 hours, again, before the notice would have to go out. I mean, again, it's up to the commission, but it just seems like it seems like you're being backed into a corner in terms of timing, and the ball keeps being moved elsewhere.
So we just say, no, we don't have it.
Exactly, it's like you're not
Because there's
gonna be on the night.
They just said, or whatever, the application comes in, and then they set the date after they're ready to go.
So and correct me if I'm wrong too, but shouldn't it be that we are having our meeting tonight, so we should have the materials provided to us tonight while we're at our meeting for the next meeting?
Correct.
And then we come in and, here the materials are ready for pickup, but that could be, a week into the 2 weeks that we're supposed to have. So I think we need to put a hard stop and say,
If a requirement in your zoning, and I have not reviewed it, so I'm not sure, but I suspect that as a requirement of your application, you need to have a note from the fire department. That needs to be included as part of the application materials before again, the application needs to be complete before it's scheduled for you guys.
And the fire department typically does it the day of the hearing. I mean, that's the way they do it.
Or no.
But I mean, there's a lot more than just the fire department.
I know,
Like
it's
even it
more
says
than-
Canberra Township Fire Department does not approve final commercial projects, but you get a full scale drawing. So it's, at that time, we will forward any comments needed to the departments and government offices. It sounds like they don't even have the stuff that they need at the fire department, right?
There generally is it's not uncommon for a note when the application is made that like, we're working with the fire department, but obviously there's a lot more materials in here than.
Yeah, that should have been included.
And this was dated a month ago.
Oh, yeah. So that on top of it, I saw 25 and I was like, oh, but no, that's July 25.
But she said she did send it somewhere, so I don't know where
She
she.
said she sent it to Levi, but that's not in the packet.
Yeah.
They brought the packets into the office, that was not in the packet.
Right. Agreed.
So I feel bad that she submitted it and it didn't make its way to us in time, but it should have been.
So I think the response to the applicant for next month is, you don't have your materials, we're not gonna be able to notice this in time. Once they submit the materials, once it goes through technical review, then we can use that moving forward. And schedule.
How's that feel, Jerry?
Jerry was pretty, clear on that.
Be aggressive,
Julie will help you tomorrow, you'll
I'm sorry.
Just
understand.
be aggressive.
Be aggressive.
You look scared.
Jerry's the boss.
I should be scared.
Like I said, it's my fault, not helping fix it.
It's not.
I've been at his management for 45 years, but that's okay. I'm trying to carry on what started on the board with Levi, all the different, applications that we've got going on, and there's 6 right now that are going on. Along with, I don't want to say answering the phones is important, but some of the calls I had today are very unique. Answering zoning questions and all that, and I'm limited to 20 hours a week. That complaining, mind you, I didn't do it for the money, but I want to do what's right for the township, so whatever is suggested by the group, I'll make sure to check it off. I can't give you a time of how long that will take, because some of these efforts of taking 45 letters to the post office for certified mail, and getting 20 of them back because they were duplicates, or they didn't have an address. This is all new to me, guys.
Well, nobody's.
Well, no,
holding you.
well, I feel embarrassed, you're right, but also, I don't know.
Something to be embarrassed about.
This isn't, and applicants are pushy, because they want, rightfully so, they wanna make sure that they've got their project, they wanna move forward as quickly as possible. And so, and you wanna help them do that, but, it's a give and take, and they also it's their job to make sure that their materials are complete. So that way, when we get here, it's as productive and efficient as possible.
That's what I wanted to get. It obviously didn't work today, so.
There should be a learning lesson for them to have their stuff.
Yeah, she had the extra packets for tonight's meeting. I put it in the packet, I added the stuff for you guys from the regional planning, as well as the comments from, Orange Township zoning. So you had the feedback from those, that's what was on the checklist.
There you go.
Can I ask one question about, I talked to Jerry about this today, if regional planning was suggesting they do plain industrial or whatever, and I saw that trustee Rio is a member of that, is that right? She was asking questions too, but Jerry and I were not sure, if they did want to change their district from PCD to PA, can they ask for that member, or do they have to reapply the whole thing? That was why I wanted to clear that up while she was here, because if they do change it, you might have to reapply, so.
I don't think there are some things that you can swap around, but I think, because regional planning should then, that's a whole new district and they should do a whole different tech review. There may be different standards, there might be different setbacks. It's not just like a plug.
Well, that was my other question about their use codes, is like they were doing auto or recreational vehicle dealers and boat dealers. And then he said, well, when I become Mercury certified,
I heard that, yeah.
I can sell boats. And I'm like, well, that changes your whole, you know,
Changes the
layout
traffic.
to the use of the land.
Well,
So how do you hold?
Actually,
Have that in your development plan. If that's a use that you want, you need to have that in your development.
in the regional planning notes, they said that the code that they wanted for boat repair was in NCD. And that was put in there by Ray.
I can explain that. The one reason that wound up in NCD was the village of Cheshire. When we put that in as a cloud and made it OCPUD, what was done with regional planning, the zoning office and the zoning commission set that up. We found every use that was going on in Cheshire and we included that in NCD because that was the only place, well, there was a couple of exceptions, that had NCD, which was the original commercial zoning when township zoning went in this township. And so we were trying to make it so that everything over there was a
Was
conformed
legal.
use and legal.
My boat was in there.
And yeah, we were trying to keep Jerry legal.
There you go.
But the point was, that's the only reason it was in NCD. And the whole thing of NCD was at the same time we were putting in NAICS codes. And what we wanted was to not expand and make any more NCD. Because with NCD, you don't have to get permission. If you're in NCD, you can use any one of those codes. You don't have to get this permission with the trustee's blessing. Now, with PCD, if you change, today I've got a donut shop and tomorrow I want to do aircraft repair. I'm making it as far from the truth as possible. You have to come in here and get it. You can't just say, I'm gonna do it because it's in PCD. No. You come in here.
What's your development plan say? And if it doesn't say airplane repair, you don't get it.
So that's the difference, and it's how they got in there. And it was to try to make everything legal, because what started it was, there were 6 lots that were not buildable in the village of Cheshire. And there was a developer, bought a couple of those lots and wanted to build a house. And he came to the zoning commission, and the zoning commission said, there's no residential use in NCD, so the answer is no. So I went to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the people that were on zoning appeals at the time said, we can't grant a use variance. That's been there since time immemorial, and we're not granting the use variance at all. Okay? And they said it does not meet the tests that are in the law to grant a use variance, so the answer is no. So he was stuck with these lots, couldn't do anything. So eventually, about a year or 2 later, they came up with the idea of putting a cloud on it, calling it a CPUD, and allowing residential and business, since that's what we already had there. The other thing that finally convinced the public to accept it, because they had to vote for it, was the fact that if your house burned down, you couldn't rebuild it.
You don't rebuild it.
So that's what finally solved it, and that's why those codes wound up in NCD only. And it was the idea, we're not gonna make any more NCD in this township.
But if we were to approve this with the codes that they've asked for, then when he gets his Mercury license, he doesn't have to come back and ask, because it's already what they requested.
If it is a permitted use in their development plan, which is what is that what they asked for?
They asked for
Yes.
recreational vehicle dealers, boat dealers, and automotive part and accessory retailers.
So he could could do a whole
Mercury.
switch. It's a boat. It's a boat.
I was like,
That seems to be, like, you could have two boats.
I don't see. It would be a big shift, but if, let's just say they had presented and we approved, that's what we would have approved. He could have
Maybe that's
become a
what he's
Mercury
gonna do
dealer
is
and
change that.
it would be a whole different traffic thing. That's what we approved. Anyway, I'm just saying.
And I don't wanna spoil everything for the discussion next month, or not next month, in the next couple of weeks, so, wanna save all your comments and whatnot for that.
Anything else on your?
Well, I got nothing from zoning inspector
I
for.
think we got one.
But we have changed, so you guys you all have laptops, or some of you do. The password here, the network you get into is called GET.
We are recording, it's being recorded, so this is.
Okay, then
No
I'll
secret
say
passwords.
well, it's the guest network, GEST,
Oh,
for
okay.
your laptop. And afterward,
Oh, the guest, oh, it's for the guest.
Or is it Wi-Fi?
Everybody,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Wi-Fi.
but you have to give a password.
Oh, it's Wi-Fi, I thought maybe it was access to like the server.
That's what it
If
sounded
it's
like.
Wi-Fi, that's fine.
No, it's so you can use your laptop and use the.
Okay.
It's sort of accurate.
Maybe it was that or just me.
Yes.
I don't know these hackers. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll say that.
Can you,
We'll see.
Yeah, after she,
well, I didn't get her, see, I couldn't get into the Aubrey's office to get the gavel, so you have to use your.
I was gonna talk. I'm good. All right, so no other business. We do have our next scheduled meeting, September 9th. It will begin at 6 PM with a special meeting prior to the Ross hearing.
so if,
And you will not be here? Okay. Anybody else aware that they won't be able to make it?
if, Ross is getting moved, do we keep the 6th?
I think
I think we have to.
since we-
With the notice
Just
get
get
done
that
earlier.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah, if we
We
change
don't want
it.
another snack food with the notice.
Yeah.
That would be.
Another ring.
We could get violent.
We're in a mess. Okay. All right, we have a motion to adjourn or?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Third.
Okay, turn it off.
Did you sign?
We approved, did we approve?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
we
put
Okay,
it
yeah,
in
we
first.
have to sign it, but we can do that.
Here we go.
Please.
Okay. Do we have to-
Kara, tell us when it's off.
Do we have to, yeah, we don't,
There's nobody watching.
okay, good.
There will be later.
That's right, we can go back. Okay. Meeting is adjourned.